106.
And my friend is late this morning.
All right. I will leave that
Do
right
I
there.
need to say, Jerry, you should be calling now?
I know
Okay, I
Jerry's
need
not
to say
listening
that.
to you today. Maybe he doesn't want to call in because I'm here. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe he also wants a notification when to know when Bing is coming. Huggy, big up yourself, eh? Morning to you.
Wrong, you know. You real.
Wow.
Timing, yo.
What? You see what I mean? I didn't say anything wrong.
Oh, gosh.
I don't know what's happening here. Jerry, I don't know. Maybe we'd have to.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to talk through his segment as well because, you know. Is a
Somebody
senior.
just messaged me saying that. Anyway, whatever. Good morning to you as well, my friend. Yes, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Mario, what? Mario over there like, oh,
We have cameras, so I gotta look this way.
oh, wait, hold on. We have to do it this way today?
I'm trying to laugh out of camera view.
I understand.
You know,
All right, let's see.
This is a scene.
You know what?
Happy birthday to all the people on Facebook today. That's celebrating my birthdays today. Nice to have you with us. Everyone locked on strong. Dan, why you so? You're causing problems, you know. You're causing problems. By the way, there's a big email that I got here from Senor Hamill.
Mr. Hamilton. I don't know why people, have such a big problem with Mr. Hamilton.
Anyway, so I will
I'm waiting
get
for
this.
your call.
I will get this to you.
You
Yeah,
send. He
I'll forward
emailed
to you.
it.
Yeah, he. So I'll get it to you so that you can read the entire thing and be informed.
So what's strange is we've had callers, but
Except the ones
both
that.
Mr. Weeks and
Yeah.
Jerry, they're experiencing the same problem.
Mhm.
They're getting
A busy tone, you say?
yes.
You know what? I'm gonna call and see if I can get through. Because if I get through, something's wrong.
They're both getting the same problem. So I'm not sure what's happening there. All right, so let me go ahead and read a message. This throws me off completely. I have a voice note. This person is saying that the caller is right about cutting down the trees. So that's the person saying Sliders contribution this morning where he was saying they need to stop cutting the trees down. This person is saying that that's right. Hello, good morning.
Very pleasant good morning to you.
All right, there we go. How are you doing?
Seeing that we could call digital to digital, but across the network, there seems to be some problem.
Okay, yeah, because I was trying to call
Okay.
and yeah, it's just dropping.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not. It's saying all lines are busy, so there's some interconnect problem.
Oh my goodness.
There's a time that stuff used to drive me crazy, but not now.
Yeah. you know, back in the days, you could just call up the woman on the switchboard and say, plug in the jack. But you can't do that.
Not those days I'm talking about at all.
Oh gosh. Jerry, how you doing this morning? Did you have water at 6 a.m.?
Yeah, I had water.
How? Somebody at CWSA that's ration it out and bring a water truck to
I
you?
had as well. Today
But
was.
I don't understand why
I
you
had,
think
but it wasn't. It was drip.
I'm taking it personal because it seems like somebody's peeping through the bush at me and saying, Mario, going to use water? Let me take it out.
They think they're going to see my cat.
See, I am
That's
not.
a low blow.
I am not.
Gosh. Anyways, how you doing, Jerry?
I am good.
Rasta, man.
So what's the story this morning?
Well, we've been in here talking about our water struggles.
And I heard somebody with some high tech talk.
Oh yeah, that the HARP initiative where they can create storms and so on. I
The things
did
that people believe.
The things that
The
people
things
believe.
people
Listen to
believe,
you.
anyway.
So you have irrefutable proof that that doesn't work. That's just propaganda.
I'm not in that conversation, you know. I just say the things that people believe.
All right, badness. All right.
I'll have,
Okay.
I'll have you know that I have a very scientific background. That's
Yes.
all I'll say. Mhm.
So you don't believe that sprinkling of silver oxide and silver flakes and stuff in
Let
the
me just say
clouds.
something. So if even all of that thing was true, how do you get it to 1%, Vincent? Let's assume there's some technology that will be
Right.
able to make it rain.
Right.
How do you get it to 1%, Vincent?
So you're saying that we can't even get the internet to work? We're gonna get Stormbreaker to work.
Wait a minute.
Thank you. I tell you that right there. Right there. If you can believe us, anything, the question is, it comes down to how do you operationalize it, even if it were possible. So in other words, if that is the case, then every country could have its own rain making, and at the same time, every country could only stop another country from having rain too. Same speed. I don't think you can have one without the other. Okay, good.
But Jerry, obviously the situation right now with the water is
That's painful.
yeah, it really is. What do you think is gonna happen moving forward?
Well, the only thing that could, well, thankfully it looks like the season is breaking. I mean, there's, I think if I look at my thing, there's some sense of some tropical something coming. But the season is breaking. What perhaps we need to look at is, do we need to increase the size and the capacity of our storage? I mean, that's probably where we need to look. Really and truly, St. Vincent is well served for water, and we experienced a drought that we have had in 72 years. So it begs the question, do we need to increase the size of our storage? The other thing that is true in all of this is that our population is not really rising, but are we using water as efficiently as we could and should? We don't really have any big manufacturing, so that water is being used up by any kind of manufacturing entity to that degree. So there are quite a number of questions, but it really comes back down to the whole question of, do we need to increase the capacity, or do we have to find a way to better control the uses of water? It's like the whole question is, if revenue or expenditure. Am I spending too much money, or do I need to save more? It's that kind of thinking that has to come into play. But generally speaking, I think we do very well. When I compare St. Grenada or even St. Lucia, that has only one major storage, I think we've done extremely well with our water situation. My concern has always been that we need to now pay some attention to what we can really do for the Grenadines.
Right.
All right. I'll say this personally, I'm not a big fan of Bissau. I think we could have Bissau Plus, because in some of the Grenadine Islands there's some limited storage there. Could we make those storage a little bigger too when there's rain, so that they can collect more? I make the point, as I say, I'm not a fan of desalination. Well, I think we could have a combination of desal plus the rain tanks. We don't really have these discussions as countries. We spend time, as I often say, you say something trivial, and it goes on and on and on for weeks. But the real discussions that we need to have, that has to do with our very existence, it don't happen. I look at it with stuff I post.
Right.
Very significant stuff. You get maybe 1-2 persons look at it. You put something that is more humorous, and everybody's going everywhere with it. We have to begin to determine what is important for us. You understand? Having said that, reminds me of the fact that last night we brought back from Europe 34 persons, 29 of whom were crew members on two cruise lines. And it's interesting that there's hardly a whimper about these people coming. But they, to me, may have suffered even more than the people who were on this atmosphere, because they were in the Mediterranean. When the borders were closed, they were literally caught out.
Right.
Eventually, they went to Southampton, and that's basically where they have been. I said to people, listen to me. When it comes to weather and all the rest of it, I prefer get stuck on this side of the world any day than in them kind of kind of weather at that time of year. But I'm sure for them it must be a great pleasure to come home. This is not all. We're going to have, I think a ship is coming out on 14th or the 15th. So we're going to be having more people come through.
Right.
I hope we all the wrong con, all the this and that is done, and we just welcome the people home and get them back into our society. The problem again, we pause on this particular situation. But we have, I understand we have probably about 2,000 people all out there working. If they were to all come back to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and the situation persists for a while, what are these people going to do? Because I'm sure they probably wouldn't have savings to take them through 2 years. So these are some of the things that we should be discussing. But we have had so much weeks and weeks about the other issues that, to my mind, was unnecessary.
I'll leave that alone.
I don't like when you
No, okay. I'll just ask one question about it. We are usually given advance notice when we've had persons returning. Why do you think it was different this time?
I'll tell you something, and I'm going to say this because I've been shared this too. One of these people reached out to, and I want them to tell me no, the consulate in the UK for assistance. I was told that this was not even answered. I want the consulate to doubt it because that is what I was told, and I'm putting it on the table for them to refute it. So, I don't know. So the question is why? That's a good question. Maybe because I won't come by boat.
What do you mean, Jerry?
Boat and planes do different things.
Meaning?
Now boat and planes do different things?
Yeah, but no. Don't try that with me, no. You're not getting off so easily. What are you trying to say? By boat or by
What did I try to
plane?
say? I said something very simple. Boat and
So
planes
is there a
do different
different protocol by boat versus by sea? By air?
I would assume that the protocol is that they would be treated similarly in the sense that they would have to be tested and they would have to be quarantined. I think the protocol is the same. You think you're getting me into thing, maybe let me right here.
I know, because I'm just asking if whether or not they come by boat, plane, whatever. What is different?
Yeah.
Leave me alone, like me hand.
Yeah.
So all of these persons who are quarantining at their private residence, or we don't?
I don't know. Look, I think that to me the same protocol should apply that applies to the people who arrive by sea. If you are negative, you're supposed to go home on to residence and stay there for the quarantine period. If you're positive, then you're supposed to go into government controlled quarantine. Let's see what happens.
But what happens if you know you're one of these people that come home and you're quarantining yourself at home, but you have family members that is not that they're not taking the quarantining that seriously.
When you say the family members not taking the quarantine seriously, what do you mean?
Well, they're not exercising caution when they're around that person. And they're out into the world as well, because they're not.
You would have heard me
because
from
they
day
don't think
one.
that they're under quarantine.
Right, you would have heard me from day one. Question that whole from case zero. Question that whole arrangement.
I
Because
don't get it.
I don't get it. If you don't have a house that could be divided, how could you have people seriously quarantining?
Exactly.
And the other members of the family are given free rein into the society. I never understood that.
Yes.
Never understood that. But who am I? I'm not no public relation, no public health expert. I'm not sure it's part of public opinion.
Right. Yeah,
So
because
I don't know.
that defeats the whole purpose.
In my mind, it does. But maybe they will say, look, we've had how many people come through and we haven't seen anything undue to that particular situation. Then perhaps we shouldn't bother about it. So let's wait and see.
Okay.
But to me, it really doesn't make sense.
I've been asking this question consistently. How are we dealing with that? I'm still confused about it, because you can't say that you're. I mean, let's be real. You just come home, you're with your family in the same house. I go and stay in
And
a room.
hold on, go continue. But no, you need to continue. You need to qualify that you're in the same house, but there are question marks above your head about your actual state in terms of the virus. In other words, the reason why they want you to stay there is because we are unsure of your status. So we want you to stay there so that
Even though I've been tested, right?
Yeah. No, but still, and that is why the whole question of I'll give you a joke after this. The whole question of quarantine is what it is, because we are not sure that we can let you back into the rest of society, because even though we've tested you negative, we're still not sure that this virus is not working its way through your body. So let's hold you there. So if that is the case, and you are in a family setting, who says that the family can't get that from you if that was the case? It's an amazing situation. And here's the joke I'm going to, well, it's not really funny, but I'll make me joke out of it. St. Kitts Nevis elections are tomorrow. There's been a big basta about whether or not we should have observers. Finally, they gave in to having CARICOM observers. Well, I was told this morning there's only 3 people on the ground. But the thing is, what St. Kitts was asking for is that if the observers came, they would have had to observe the 14-day quarantine period. Well, they've let these in, and as I was told this morning, 3 people. But they will have to do their observation in PPE. Not as PPE, right? Personal protective equipment. In other words, they'll have to go about and suit up when they do observation.
Right.
I find that so funny. It is not funny. I think that's a joke. So these people going from polling station to polling station in the Caribbean when it's getting hot.
Yeah.
In all of this suit.
Yeah.
But I don't understand, because they've had rallies where they hugging up one another.
No, but remember these people. No.
So,
But remember, these people are coming in from outside. So not the people internally.
Okay.
They're considered whatever it is. But the people coming in from out. But by the way, let me say this: these still people coming in from CARICOM. From my understanding, these are the same people who were just in Suriname, who would have quarantined in Suriname, right? Served as observers in the Suriname election and are coming to St. Kitts. So in other words, they've had a quarantine period. But clearly St. Kitts doesn't seem to be very interested in having observers. So they put all kinds of hurdles in the way of having observers. But this one, nobody could have given me that. I wasn't going to do that for me. No. You're not even going to pull that to me like that. No way, Jose. It wasn't going to happen.
oh my gosh. Now, Jerry, anything you want to say in closing?
Well, wait. Before Jerry slap us down here, you've heard about the reopening of Jamaica on the 15th, right? Now, I don't know if you put your 2 cents or 1 cent or however you value your opinion on it. You know that they're opening freely, right? People can come in. I mean, you can do a test, but they're not really testing people for COVID-19.
I think Antigua's airport is open too now as well.
Yeah, Antigua Airport on the 1st, On the 1st, yeah.
So do you agree with the we open, whatever happens?
I said to you guys, right, that might work among us, all right? We have to wait to see what the international community is demanding, because if they're demanding that people quarantine, we could always open. All right? But if we don't, those persons, when they go back to where they come from, a quarantine period could be demanded of them.
Exactly.
So that is where the whole thing will fall apart. So among ourselves, we might say, fine, you can come and go. Okay, we do that first. But as I say, if the rush to open has anything to do with getting back into the tourist business,
right,
we still have to think that one through.
Right.
It's not going to be that simple. Okay, unless the international community, in fact, look at what is happening in the United States of America. the whole question of the virus has seemed to just gone on the
Disappear.
ground.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But does that mean that
looking at it
infections
as well.
have stopped? Does it mean infections have stopped? Could all of this lead to a real second and third wave?
Well,
These
that's
are
what
questions
we're
we don't
looking
know.
at, yeah.
So
That's
you're
what we're
opening
looking
your borders at this time when there's so much going on in the United States. There's all the periods of lockdown have, as far as I'm concerned, have been negated by a lot of what is happening. Okay? And if we open our borders, just train them open some? Really? I don't know, but let's wait and see. Because I keep saying about this virus, right? Where we stand now, we know more than we did 2 months ago, 3 months ago. But somehow we still operating like if we don't know. So let's wait and see.
All right. Straight up.
Straight up, Jerry.
Straight up, guys. Have a good one.
You too.
Yeah.
Straight up, real talk, unfiltered, and in your face. Jerry George on Boom 106. We lighten up the morning, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. OMG in the morning.
The Love Zone.
The best R&B jams, period.
Hear it on Boom 1069.
Yo, it's your boy DJ Diego of Boom 1069. Just giving you a little sneak peek of behind the scenes of what we do to keep our scene clean and stop the spread of COVID-19. We all have to do our part to stop the spread. Stay home, stay safe, stop the spread. A message on Boom 1069 and IKTV.
Vibe Central blazing the most fire in the nighttime.
Hey, yo, play that shit again.
8 p.m. to midnight with Platinum Jugglers on the Evolution Station. Boom 1069. Boom Chat Friday.
Boom Chat Friday.
It's a different kind of juggle on Boom.
Everybody cups up. Everybody cups up. For the girl my God loves. If you know
You chat, we juggle.
Chat Fridays.
And you like chat.
me no in a bankrupt. Me no day a jail dash for the handcuff. One in our pocket, you know me tank up. 6 out here, you know we run prof.
Big up your crew, street or block.
Sending them voice notes now.
Evolution of sound, evolution of music, evolution of radio.
Them nobody like me. Like me, them nobody like me. Like me, them nobody.
Boom Chat Friday.
Go, 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 go.
1069 Boom. We lighten up the morning, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. OMG in the morning.
Here we go.
Locking down the entire universe. It's District 106 on the Boom. Galaxy by far. And DJ Flex on the Evolution Station. Boom 1069.
Boom. All the fans of soca. I want. Push them up and up and up, up and up, up and up. You see we hands gonna up and up, up and up, up and up. Everybody hands gonna up and up.
In order to stop the spread of the coronavirus, the government and healthcare professionals have encouraged the public practice social distancing. Social distancing is simply staying at home, avoiding crowds, and avoiding touching each other. If you must come outside to go to work or run an errand, you are encouraged to sneeze or cough within the crease of your elbow or cough within a tissue and discard immediately. Practice washing your hands regularly or the use of hand sanitizer. This message was brought to you by Boom 1069 and IKTV. Stay home, stay safe, stop the spread.
Stop the spread of viral infections, including the flu and COVID-19, by practicing proper hand washing. Follow these simple steps. Remove all jewelry before washing hands. Wet hands using running water. Place liquid soap in hand. Circulate using rotational movements, interlace fingers, and repeat switching hands. Wash back of fingers, rotating them in the palms. Wash fingertips, rotating them in palms. Wash thumbs using rotational movements. Thoroughly wash hands down to the wrist. Rinse hands. Dry with clean tissue. Turn off tap using tissue. Use tissue to open door and discard in bin. A simple act can make a huge difference. Stop the spread of viral infections, including the flu and COVID-19, by practicing proper hand washing. This is a message from the Ministry of Health, Wellness, and the Environment.
On Thursdays, we throw it back, boy.
Throwback Thursday, the biggest throwbacks all day. It's nothing but continuous urban jams. Lock it to the Evolution Station.
We talk about your jams, the old school joints, everything.
On Thursday, we throw it back.
Let's Throwback Thursdays on the Evolution Station.
This is why I'm hot. This is why I'm hot. This is why I'm hot.
Throwback Thursday.
When the top boy Evolution.
1069 Boom. 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 Boom Chat Friday.
Boom Chat Friday.
It's a different kind of juggle on Boom.
Everybody cups up. Everybody cups up. For the girl my God loves. If you know
You chat, we juggle.
Chat Fridays.
And you like chat?
Me no in a bankrupt. Me no day a jail dash for the handcuff. One in our pocket, you know me tank up. 6 out here, you know we run prof.
Big up your crew, street or block.
Sending them voice notes now.
Evolution of sound, evolution of music, evolution of radio.
Them nobody like me, them nobody like me, them nobody.
Boom Chat Friday.
Go, 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 go.
1069 Boom. On point, dropping shade and setting the trends.
You drinking the haterade.
It's the Shade Room with Jill, and DJ Shady. DJ on the Evolution Station. Boom 1069.
Here we go.
Locking down the entire universe. It's District 106 on the Boom. Galaxy by far. And DJ Flex on the Evolution Station. Boom 1069.
As a doctor and first responder in the fight against COVID-19, we use the N95 mask to protect ourselves and our patients. We are therefore asking you, the public, not to use or abuse the N95 mask. They are exclusively for medical and nursing personnel. Help us to save you and to save ourselves.
We lighten up the morning, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. OMG in the morning.
So the reason why we in healthcare use this mask, the N95 mask, is because we have a prolonged contact and continuous contact with the ill. A prolonged contact is considered within 1 meter of the patient and for more than 15 minutes. And healthcare workers, we would have to keep doing this. Also, we'll be doing aerosolized procedures. You may have to nebulize someone, so we need a little bit more protection, and that's why we use the N95 mask. While caring for someone at home, always remember, even though you're using this mask, that your contact should really be minimal. And it does protect you in the case of corona because the virus is quite big and very unlikely to pass to and from this mask. And that's why the patient would wear it and the person providing care will wear it.
She thirsty. She said, Lord have mercy. But this is not a nursery. You forget what you said when me did tell you, say me thump hard for the first day. So me a thump her up, the maga man thump her up. Make she fly in the air and tap on the chair. No one no man run her up. That's why me a thump her up. Still I am a pump her up. Make she fly in the air and she not okay.
Don't stop, back it up, slow wine, bend over, keep tap. He said, wine for me, say you a boss, yeah, get cross, yeah. He said, wine for me, don't stop, back it up, slow wine, bend over, keep tap. He said, wine for me, say you a boss, yeah, get cross,
me no close pin, the boy can't squeeze me head, I make me foot open, the blackberry no pin. Stop show off in your friend vehicle, go on and allow me, me no close pin, the boy can't squeeze me head, and get me foot open, the blackberry no pin. Stop show off in your friend vehicle. I'm in a tell you on paper, big up all money maker. I crown all who rise and no drop.
throw it back.
I love the summer. It's 100 degrees. You better run for cover. If you know what I mean, 'cause it's hot right now. And I'm going straight to party town. And everybody's invited. Cups up to my girls at the beach club. DJ play the girls them song. Big respect goes to all of the real talk. I got my white t-shirt on. Fun at the barbecue every year. And it feels so good 'cause everybody is there. Yeah, yeah. It's 100 degrees. You better run for cover. If you know what I mean, 'cause it's hot right now. And I'm going
right now, me name Stinker Road, but me name not call up on no wrong thing, and me name not call up on no bad thing. The girl them a talk about me, me reputation Stinker Road, but me name not call up on no wrong thing, and me name not call up on no bad thing.
And them me a cheer for shake, you beat them like shaker, and do the bar she want up inna the acre. Me no play like melody maker. And me make y'all dash the vibrator. Me find the target straighter. Me make y'all come now, me now wait till later. I'll wine pan the skyscraper. Head over, make me slap up that day. Then nearly fuck that big fatty day. The kidneys increase panda fat day. Man I pre you from last week Saturday. Oh yeah, dash away. Oh yeah, wash away. Anyway, y'all there, papi there. Rasta y'all, me grab you up inna the natty day. Hey y'all, and them me a cheer for shaker. Them like shaker, and do the bar she want up inna the acre. Me no play like melody maker. Y'all, dash the vibrator. Me find the target straighter. Me make y'all now, me no wait till later.
Cock it up, y'all. Back it up. Been running them for a long time. Don't be out of here, man. All the girls them. Some mafia. The evolution. Stand, bang. And the way, girl. Cock it up, y'all. Back it up, y'all. Fling it up, y'all. Gimme the. Cock it up, y'all. Back it up, y'all. Fling it up, y'all. Gimme the. High grade and Patron ganja by the pound. Me about black and brown. We are cruise through the town. My grade is around. Pound for pound. When me step in at the club, select a throw down. Y'all a climb pan box and y'all a crawl pan ground. Y'all lock up in a cage up and pole a sing round. We see a 3 color here right as it was a clown. When the girl start wine, the whole place a tear down. Y'all a joke and go down, a bumper touch ground. With the Beyonce wine and a move it around. Every man head a spin like a merry-go-round. So me tell the selector to turn up the sound. I must and compound and not if rasta bound. My God, we have to send the hot girl a home. Have you have 3 color here in my zone. Pick up, cock it up, y'all. Back it up, y'all. Fling it up, y'all. Gimme the. Cock it up, y'all. Fling it up, y'all. Gimme the. Let's do this.
Palm bed, palm floor against wall. We them out till them call me. I'm the girls, them sugar, that's all. Welcome the king of the dance hall. Palm bed, palm floor against wall. We them out till them call me. I'm the girls, them sugar, that's all. Welcome the king of the dance hall.
Hello, me. Yeah,
Clear the mirror.
catch it, don't give me no icky, girl.
Don't you dare. Remove your underwear and make me stick it, jam it without.
Y'all forget, stop.
Who that ask me why? Y'all is me ask me question a Frankie guy. So how you a act so shy? Me no make it, but me da like a blind. Why? Just to raise your foot up high. Cause I believe you can fly straight to the sky. Between him and me, between your tie. Me no Batman, half a me no Robin guy. If you and I ever not to tie, no shy. When me stop, then you reply. Bite your lips and close your eyes. Cause palm bed, palm floor against wall. We them out till them call me. I'm the girls, them sugar, that's all. Welcome the king of the dance hall. Palm bed, palm floor against wall. We them out till them call me. I'm the girls, them sugar, that's all. Welcome the king of the dance hall.
It was last Sunday evening. You see come check me Susan from down the street. She come and take my bottle. What she do? And drink everything and swallow. Then she drop for your craving here. Then she asks me for a life. She said, man, I know you wife. But right now her heart is shallow. All she want is TLC. She have me up on the gun to beat. But she got nowhere to run. She push me over and hung me up and lie down. When me a walk, now you walk away. And you don't know. You never come down. And if you want more money, you're blind. See 10 grand up on the table. There is time enough for content when the night is done. But anyway, Beanie she want, Harry she get. She got fi brown. Larry she want, Johnny she get. She got fi brown. Money she want and Gwen she get. Yeah, the body not done. You don't get nothing yet. So when you big up your chest, and I think it's okay. I use your kiss every lip, them and kiss up me neck. And anytime you touch the pool, you go intercept. And if you put come again, my life.
If you call my phone and I get me have a room and I caress me. If you call my phone and I get me, left a message and hang up, not stress me. Hey, some boy no got no girl, them have to spend them money, spend them money, spend them money. Some boy no got no girl, them have to spend them money. 10 grand just to see the. Nah, but we get girl for free, get girl for free. Every girl him have a 10 girl that fi we. Say me get girl for free, get girl for free. We have Charlottetown, have Cala country.
Back Thursday.
You're just marveling at it, huh? You're just marveling at it. Don't say it. Just don't say it. Don't say it.
I know. You see now? Mario now.
I'm afraid you're afraid.
Mario's like, oh
don't
gosh,
say it,
please.
Don't say it,
What's she gonna say when she opened the microphone?
Don't say it.
What's the last one? What it say? What? What the
Get
last one?
girls for free, basically. That's
But
what
some
it
man
is.
don't have
Anyway.
girls,
Have
so
the
they have
money,
to
you
they
can
spend
get
the money.
anyway.
Oh, okay.
Moving on.
Did you see? Well, I know you probably didn't see the Clash live, but you've probably seen memes of it, right? Of Beanie Man and Bounty Killer.
Listen, that was epic, man.
Plenty.
It was epic. Wait, come on.
Real thing.
This guy is
Although
legendary.
I was shocked to see Beanie looking like he ate a bowling ball, huh? But
You were shocked?
I was.
No, usually. Anyway.
I didn't see Beanie in a long time, and to see him looking like the letter B, like the lowercase
Well,
B.
it's fitting, isn't it? But nah, that clash was serious, man. It was serious.
Yeah, it was
I watched it after the fact.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. That
it
was crazy, man.
great.
That was crazy. Beanie and Bounty, crazy man.
Yeah, you watched it, Flex?
I didn't get to see it, but I saw clips of it.
Yes,
Okay, well, at least you saw something.
Oh, you know that was trending right too, everywhere.
Oh boy, that was the thing, boy. Someone on our WhatsApp message and said, this is Beckway crew locked on, yeah? Good morning. They said, in Beckway, we're accustomed to water issues. And I think that is so unfortunate. And the person is saying it costs a fortune to build a house because we have to start with a large, strong tank. And this person says St. Vincent should fix and use the catchments. There are some in Beckway that need attention too. Let's take this one caller. Good morning.
Good morning, my sister. And just respond a little bit here to Jerry. I mean, he's one. Let me say this. So this is one of the callers I respect a lot because he doesn't come here to impress people, to impress a political party or the group. He speaks the truth, and this is what we have to do on radio because there are thousands of people, young people, depending on us to speak the truth. But let me just say this situation with water. It has nothing to do, Jerry, with asking after 20 years of looking at the demise of CWSC to asking whether or not you have to expand the catchment area and expand. We need to expand that. But the reality, even if then CWSC wanted to do that, do they have the resources? No. And I'm only saying, this situation with water is not to ask questions. We have to make demands. We need a CWSC. We need to help these people. As I said, I am not knocking them. I think, Mr. God Sanders, he mean well. I'm very disappointed at times he didn't have more strength. But you could have an institution where it is best run institution. Even before the other administration, and we saw Dalloway, where the government at that time built Dalloway with the help of the French government. It's one of the biggest, the catchment area. What did we do to upgrade Dalloway? And I'm only saying here, my brother and sister, we have got to start to understand what is the role of the citizens. You and the student, do we have a voice? No. What is really happening to these people? These wonderful men in CWS have been working so hard to make sure they keep this system up to date. Do they have a say? No. And then I'm saying, hey, millions of gallons used. And government's supposed to pay how much? 1.5 million, 3 million. They don't have the money to pay it. And so we are forced to take that burden. But we don't have a voice because all we do call on a radio, people muzzle we away. We want to have a voice. We want CWSA, we want Vilnick, we want our country. One quick thing, coronavirus has nothing to do with the government making a decision. We see any wrong decision by Donald Trump. It has to do with allowing these experts in this very day with this very dangerous disease to tell us the best part so that we don't decimate our health structure. Our people are what sense would you open up when at the end of the day half of your population you're going to have a situation where you have an outbreak and the very greatest resources the people more than tourism. And I'm only saying Vincentian, call my brother and my sister. Don't be afraid. Some people say they're afraid to call you all. They believe that you might muzzle them off and call, hey. Let your voice be heard. Write a letter to your parliamentarians. Write a letter to your very weak, what I said, weak opposition party. It's the weakest ever we've ever seen under Dr. Friday. I listened to his presentation yesterday. I was not impressed. But there's going to be a consequence for me when I put down this phone. My sister, God bless you all. We want back democracy. We want to have a say in our country. God bless you all.
All right, thanks, Mr. Hamilton. Ay, boy.
The passion of Hamilton.
Oh, yeah. All right, someone says, good morning, Dan, Mario, Flex. Say good morning.
Morning.
As well as the tech team. Hey, Morales, that's you, buddy. And to be honest, research over the years has shown that drought is occurring and disrupts many things, mostly because mankind continues to overuse things that keeps the flow of life on earth going and not replacing it, population, etc. So I knew this year and in more time to come, it's sad, but that's the truth. They're saying they're not replacing or mitigating as they should, mostly greed. And someone is saying Al Jazeera News channel shows a lot of investigations on this, and this person is saying that the guy who sent the voice note is right. This is the voice note that we heard earlier on the
about the weather making.
Yes. America admitted about 20 years ago to causing 20 years of drought over Africa by using some chemicals in the clouds. Some may not believe, but it is happening. Imagine what they can do now in 2020. It's happened in Africa, and this person is saying, what is Jerry saying? The tech may not be there as yet, but the world weather pattern is connected. Off balance in one area affects other parts of the globe. Yeah, boy, I feel like we need some music.
Just to settle that down.
Yeah. Flex, you can do that for us, please.
That's why you're here, Flex.
He's like, what?
That's your role here to give us the music.
To give us some vibes, please. We need some vibes. All right, we can have that. Yes. All right. We're going to take in some quick vibes, man. We still got Dr. Richards to come on with us shortly. You can keep it locked on and look forward to that.
That don't kill me, can only make me stronger. I need you to hurry up now, cause I can't wait much longer. I know I got to be right now, cause I can't get much stronger. Man, I've been waiting all night now, that's how long I've been on ya. I need Let's get lost tonight. You could be my black Kate Moss tonight. Play secretary, I'm the boss tonight. And you don't give a what they all say, right? Awesome, the Christian and Christian Dior. Damn, they don't make them like this anymore. I ask, cause I'm not sure. Do anybody make real anymore? Bow in the presence of greatness. Cause right now, that has forsaken us. You should be honored by my lateness. That I would even show up to this place. So go ahead, go nuts, go ape. I see you my pastel on my baby. Act like you can't tell who made this new gospel, homie. Take 6 and take this, haters. That don't kill me, can only make me stronger. I need you to hurry up now, cause I can't wait much longer. I know I got to be right now, cause I can't get much longer. Man, I've been waiting all night now. That's how long I've been on ya.
Chain, getting paid over here. Chain, getting paid over here. Thursday, baby, bring it over here. Thursday, baby, bring it over here. See my money maker, do my money maker. See my money maker, do my money maker. Ain't nobody else with it, right? Ain't nobody else with it.
In my SE, Missy be a freak. Sex so good, I can freak you in my sleep. Ice on my sleeve, I can make a room freeze. Pockets more bigger than a strip of booty cheeks. Lose weak when they look at my physique. French on my feet, cost $1.50. I don't swing from a pole, Missy swing from a tree. I'm Muhammad Ali, cause I can sting like a bee. What you know about that? So cute and fat. I let him hit it once, I'm about to do come back. Cause the back's so stacked, like it's sitting on a jack. Missy beat him, man, that's a true fact.
Chain, getting paid over here. Chain, getting paid over here. Thursday, baby, bring it over here. Thursday, baby, bring it over here. See my money maker, do my money maker. See my money maker, do my money maker. I love it when they try to get intimate, even though they know I really ain't into it.
You're not into it?
I'm not into it. I already know the game and I've been through it. See, I buy my own bags, my boots, my jeans. Will a rock with my rebel yell underneath. You wanna step to me? Said you got a long way to go. Rock with me. You claim that you're so hot, and you say you got skills in the bedroom. You try to front when you're so not. Had a chance, you still never come through. You say you wanna come see me, cause you know your girlfriend wanna be me. I'ma tell you why you can't. Said you got a long way to go. Say you wanna love me, wanna touch me. Think twice cause you got a long way to go. Don't know how to act, better fall back. It's not that cause you got a long way to go. It's not that deep, take it easy. You wanna please me, got a long way to go. I'm a bad girl, you wanna get close. Ease up cause you got a long way to go.
How fly is he? Your baby mama cry for me like Jonas. Let's go. How fly is he? How fly is he? How fly is he?
Girl, I see ya moving to the melody on the floor.
Make it feel good to your next friend. Make it feel good.
I just wanna be a little closer to you already know.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Can you feel it? Nothing can save you.
I got that drive you crazy. They just won't leave me alone. Which one wanna be my lady? Which one am I taking home? My girlfriend looking back 'cause she is looking like way better than she is. Baby girl, wanna give me a reason to take you back, girl. Stop your teasing. Let's work.
How fly is he? 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 How fly is he?
For over 100 years, the First and Vincent Bank, locally owned,
We lighten up the morning, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Doing it.
OMG in the morning. Boom Chat Friday.
Boom Chat Friday.
It's a different kind of juggle on Boom.
Everybody cups up. Everybody cups up. For the girl my God loves. If you know
You chat, we juggle.
Chat Fridays.
And you like chat.
Me no in a bankrupt. Me no day a jail dash for the handcuff. One in our pocket, you know me tank up. 6 out here, you know we run prof.
Big up your crew, street or block.
Sending them voice notes now.
Evolution of sound, evolution of music, evolution of radio.
Them nobody like me, them nobody like me, them nobody.
Boom Chat Friday.
Go, 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 go.
1069 Boom. Vibe Central, blazing the most fire in the nighttime.
Hey, yo, play that shit again.
8 p.m. to midnight with Platinum Jugglers on the Evolution Station. Boom 1069.
The Love Zone.
The best R&B jams, period.
Hear it on Boom 1069.
Hey, on Thursdays we throw it back, boy.
Throwback Thursday. The biggest throwbacks all day. It's nothing but continuous urban jams. Lock it to the Evolution Station.
We talk about your jams, the old school joints, everything.
On Thursday, we throw it back.
Let's Throwback Thursdays on the Evolution Station.
This is why I'm hot. This is why I'm hot. This is why I'm hot.
Throwback Thursday.
When the talk about Evolution.
1069 Boom. 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 Boom.
Here we go.
Locking down the entire universe. It's District 106 on the Boom. Galaxy by far. And DJ Flex on the Evolution Station. Boom 1069.
Yo, it's your boy DJ Diego of Boom 1069. Just giving you a little sneak peek of behind the scenes of what we do to keep our scene clean and stop the spread of COVID-19. We all have to do our part to stop the spread. Stay home, stay safe, stop the spread. A message from Boom 1069 and IKTV.
Spread of viral infections including the flu and COVID-19 by practicing proper hand washing. Follow these simple steps. Remove all jewelry before washing hands. Wet hands using running water. Place liquid soap in hand. Circulate using rotational movements, interlace fingers, and repeat switching hands. Wash back of fingers, rotating them in the palms. Wash fingertips, rotating them in palms. Wash thumbs using rotational movements. Thoroughly wash hands down to the wrists. Rinse hands. Dry with clean tissue. Turn off tap using tissue. Use tissue to open door and discard in bin. A simple act can make a huge difference. Stop the spread of viral infections including the flu and COVID-19 by practicing proper hand washing. This is a message from the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment.
And when you hear the roll call, make sure you not go get left. The Jesus must clean up your head.
On Thursday, we throw it back. Let's check in with the doc and look at things with a wider lens. Pastor Richards on OMG.
And we're waiting to be joined by Pastor Richards. I think I have him on the line. Hello, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Daniil. Good morning to everyone.
Pastor saying good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Flex. That's Flex, right?
Yes, it's Flex.
This is Flex.
Flex, can
can I submit my playlist for throwback, or you would have to be vetted by Mario?
You can do that, yes, sir.
You want to throw back to 5 years. I don't know if that's a throwback. What happened to 80s music? You haven't touched those?
I had a conversation with Mario this morning, but that's not my area.
Best era. I could call some names. You probably Flex probably doesn't even know half of them. I don't know Marvin. Never mind. He won't know.
I think maybe submit the list to Mario, and then he will. Yes.
A great era of music, but unfortunately, throwback Thursdays for the youngsters can't throw back past their date of birth.
Pastor, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Yesterday, oh, by the way, I have to give thanks, say a shout out for those who, some people do send me feedback on my commentary pieces, and yesterday I got a little bit of feedback on that piece on tokenism, optics, and window dressing. Seems to me that it resonated. I started basically with the U.S. and affirmative action and the token placement of and token rise of, blacks on the rise in certain places, but I viewed it from the position of tokenism under or through the scope of affirmative action and how that blurs any real progress for blacks. And then I brought it home and talked about other matters of tokenism and window dressing vis-a-vis or as compared with real effectiveness. Sometimes you do things to, put up a firewall and keep people's mouth shut, but when you examine it at the core, it's basically just a window dressing that was put up. So I just wanted to provoke some thoughts as to where is the window dressing, where is the tokenism, and got some feedback. One of the most interesting was a gentleman from Georgia who listened to the program, and by the way, this is a white guy, Caucasian, and I was very pleased with his feedback. He actually let me know, sent me a voice note to let me know that he thought I was on point and that it was deep, and that these were matters that uncomfortable. They're uncomfortable matters. They make people angry when you talk about the fact that what you have done is just window dressing. I want to see behind the window. And he appreciated the fact that, even if, the message was targeted to those who are in power, who are actually doing the window dressing, he thought that it was deep and provocative enough. And most of my listeners know that this week I've been talking about change, and the thing that is a retardant firewall to change is the massive cost that comes with that endeavor. In my sermon, I told you guys that I said change is such a disruptive thing that you begin to disrupt the status quo, and it makes people uncomfortable. The sort of pushback, I had another Caucasian friend call me, I think, or talked with me on Tuesday, it was, and talked about how uncomfortable he felt with the rioting and the looting, and that aspect that had been hijacked. But, people get uncomfortable and people push back. I've seen, for example, different news outlets who are not embracing the change or the push for the change, the way they are characterizing and caricaturing this effort. Because it's disrupting the status quo. Even here in Little St. Vincent, you try to do any meaningful change, you disrupt the status quo, you disrupt the order of things, and there's a cost that comes with that. You interrupt the flow. It could interrupt your job, it could interrupt your prospects, it could interrupt, your connections. That is a cost of change. Change is costly, and maybe that's the retardant, maybe that's the firewall. As soon as you begin to become the genesis of change, as soon as you begin to become the voice of change, as soon as you're beginning to get traction and coalesce, with people around you, the smear campaigns that would go out there, and your name, which is a valuable entity, respect and your testimony to closely related things are going to be damaged. Once I've seen it happen over and over again. Any voice that is disruptive enough and seem to attract and change, or at least gain momentum and a little bit of traction, one of the costs that you have to consider is the smear campaign, basically to render you ineffective voice to be laughed at. And because people value their public image and value popularity and value what people say about them, they're a little bit reticent and slow to take on that. They're like, I could do without that. I don't want to generate, I don't want to push change. I can do so under a pseudonym or something, but to come out, for example, publicly and protest and to give an outcry or to call out things, not necessarily to shame people, although that is a fringe aspect, but to call out things the way you should call it out. You begin to do that, you're going to be smeared. So I talked this week about the fact that even in places where change is desperately needed, because people consider the cost of change is probably not going to be pushed that hard. Yesterday, for example, I talked about another retardant. And Monday, I talked about the cost of change being a retardant. Yesterday, I talked about a massive firewall that I think is intentionally set up, the firewall of tokenism and window dressing. Because if you can do things for a show, if you can, give X amount of things that changes, what is it? You give a man a fish instead of teaching him how to fish. Well, that's the old tenet, but I say you give a man a fish, give him a boat. Don't even teach him how to fish, because it is frustrating to teach a man to fish and he doesn't have the equipment to fish with. So don't even just teach him how to fish. Give him a boat. So, but we get the firewall, the retardant, to keep people. You just give him a fish and he eats and he's satisfied for a little bit. That's tokenism, man. That's tokenism. Little handouts are tokenism. And as a socialist ploy, little handouts to keep people quiet for, a little bit of time. Because one of the things that we have learned very well, probably occasioned by slavery, is that the people in our part have, they don't have what is called the long view. So we think in terms, remember that term, a long view. We think in terms of the short-term and immediate gratification, and you can placate, satiate, and satisfy a lot of our people with short-term renderings, and give them things in the short run, and keep them quiet and muzzle them by giving them things, and they won't desperately call for change. But that's just a window dressing. The giving of the fish, rather than teaching people to fish, and furthermore giving them the equipment to fish with. You just firewall and window dressing, as far as I'm concerned. So this brings me to the Serenity Prayer that I've given over the past day, because this week I'm focused on change. And this brings me to the Serenity Prayer, which I have never seen this prayer as being troublesome until this week, I will tell you, Daniel. Really, it's a prayer that I have taught my daughter. Mm-hmm. And recently, over the past month, I re-echoed it to her. And then this week I got to be thinking, I'm like, I don't know that I like this Serenity Prayer that much. This is going to annoy people. The Serenity Prayer says that they ask, you ask God to grant you the serenity to accept the things you cannot change, the courage to change the things you can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And we all love the Serenity Prayer because it flows well, but I got to thinking just this week, I don't like that first line. The first line that says, grant me the serenity. There are some words there that trouble me. In the first line, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. The three words that trouble me in that line, first line, is serenity. And serenity is the antidote to agitation. I'll let you know that right off. Serenity just dislocates you, and you. Sometimes I wonder if where we should have agitation, we have too much serenity. Maybe we have an overdose, and maybe our people have become overdosed on serenity. So that's one of the words that troubles me, this serenity and placidity that really nullifies any great movement towards agitation and activism. Serenity in any country where there is a massive amount of serenity, you're not an overdose of serenity. You're not going to have much, agitation, activism. So that right there is a retardant to change. Too much serenity. Even if there are things that are there that need changing, that level of serenity really becomes an antidote. And then the next word in that prayer that is bothersome is the word accept. Because acceptance lends itself to the whole idea of conformity to the status quo. And anyone that studies any form of history knows this, that it is the dissatisfaction with the status quo that becomes the genesis to change. So anytime you get to the point where you are accepting of the status quo, you have basically denied any impetus whatsoever for change. So that's the second word in that prayer that bothers me. Acceptance. And I've actually asked myself, do we have too much of an acceptance here in St. Vincent of things that ought to change? I mean, this is asking a question. I'm just asking a question. And then the third thing that really bothers me in that first line is this whole, I cannot change. Serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Cannot? How do you know that you can't? Who told you that you can't? What restricts you? What understanding do you have of yourself and your power or powerlessness that you have come to the conclusion that you cannot change? And sometimes I think that cannot is a substitute for won't. In other words, it's not so much that you cannot change, it's simply a matter that you won't change. You refuse to change. You don't want change. And I think that is a gross misunderstanding of our power, the extent of our power. The power of not just black people, but the power of the average citizen to wrought and generate change. When people don't know their power, they remain placid. So we have to begin to ask ourselves, what is the power of not just one voice, but what is the power of many, many voices in this land calling for the same thing, like we have seen across LA, and we have seen in New York, and we have seen in Chicago, and we have seen in not Houston, but in Dallas. We have seen people, the one might be powerless, but the many together becomes a great source of power. So that serenity prayer troubles me because that line, grant me the serenity to accept things that I cannot change. And I think that line gets in the way of the second line, courage to change the things I can. So we have to ask ourselves then, what are the things that need changing that are not being changed here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines? And I believe, because I don't have much time to sell these thoughts this morning, okay, truly, but these are things that are resonating from the depths of my heart. And you know it is because this is not the first time that I've spoken about the placidity of St. Vincent and the way the status quo is maintained over an extended period of time. It's not the first time that I've spoken these things. It is not to suggest, therefore, that we don't have things here in St. Vincent that need changing. I mean, we are not an ideal utopian society. We have things that need changing, so we have to confront and ask ourselves, but why is it that there's not such a strong push? We don't have protests on the streets regularly. This is not an indictment necessarily against the government for those who are thinking that this is political. This is not what this is about. This is an understanding that no society is utopian, ideal, and therefore there are always going to be things that would bring a measure of dissatisfaction and would provoke change. So I ask myself here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, what's the main matter? It's the same thing all over the world. The main driver that provokes a demand for change is injustice all across the world. You're seeing protests Although the Minneapolis thing started with George Floyd, Minneapolis, you're seeing protests in Milan, you're seeing protests in London, you're seeing protests in Sydney, you're seeing protests, I think I saw one in Tokyo or somewhere in Japan. You're seeing protests all across the world. Why? Because injustice is not an American phenomenon. Injustice is a global phenomenon. And people understand the core of the issue is that we have to stand up and call for justice. So this matter that is happening right now and this impetus and wave of change across the globe is not about George Floyd anymore. It is about people understanding that we are dissatisfied with the level of justice that we have. Now, to bring this home, there are three types of justices that we really ought to be very concerned about and be agitating for, rather than saying, well, I have the serenity to accept the things I can't change. No, stop it, stop. Have the courage to agitate for three different types of justices. By the way, amazingly, all of these are well supported in the Bible. Retributive justice, which we call criminal justice, the Bible deals with that. Distributive justice, which I happen to think that the main essence of our dissatisfaction and the main driver to provoke our calls for change is this whole matter of distributive justice. The greatest injustices in our society are not retributive criminal justice. The greatest injustices in our society basically relates to distributive justice. How is power distributed? How is land distributed? Are we satisfied? Are we satisfied? Have we done nothing about it because we are serene about it? Land distribution in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, for example, continues to be a pet peeve of mine. Who owns the lands? I do some research. How did they obtain the lands? We going historically back into the 50s and 60s and the pork barreling and the other systems by which some people came into many, many acres of land. And how are we going to dispossess them of this land? I know this is not a popular kind of conversation to have. But I believe that these are the issues that should be at the forefront of the minds of, because land allows people to get a sense of identity and to establish themselves. And when you have distributive injustice with respect to who own the land, how they are obtained, we have a system that allows for large landowners. We have a system that punishes squatters. By the way, I have a high admiration for squatters. This is why my kind of commentary is not popular. But when a man is squatting, you don't punish him, as used to happen. When a man is squatting, that says that he wants to settle down and find somewhere for himself. And I think actually it is a social salve. It is a social salve when a man squats. Or you want him to be homeless and create more social problems. Allow the man to squat. So I find that there is a massive injustice in a system that allows large landowners to have lands that lie fallow and not used, and at the same time, in the same paradigm, to have people that you're punishing for squatting, or you drive them off or find ways of dispossessing them of the little piece of land that they're squatting on. That's distributive injustice. I can go on and on the level of the distributive justice, on the matter of distributive justice in St. Vincent, but I just don't have the time to talk about the housing issues. I appreciate the fact that the government has done the low-income housing scheme and all of that. But yet, I still think that in terms of access to proper facilities for building and loans and all of that, that I think that some people are considered high risk and some people are just left out because they can't meet minimal requirements to become landowners and house owners. And even when they do, in a short space of time, the structures and strictures of the banking system, before too long, these same people are dispossessed of whatever little they try to put. I'm not making these things up. These are things that are happening in St. Vincent. If you don't believe me, check the real estate agents and see their list of, and the banks, to see their list of homes that they're selling out. Selling people out of their homes. These are things that they can be fixed. Economic opportunity here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. If you didn't know it, the large masses of our people there's a fraction of our people, a tiny fraction, we won't call names, but we know names, that are in possession of a higher percentage of our, all I'm saying here, let me just say it safely, income is not equally distributed in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And a majority of people are scrunting, but we do have some people who are wealthy. But this is something that happens all across the world. But this kind of disparity, these are the things that we ought to promote. What's being done in St. Vincent with respect to distributive justice regarding economic opportunity. Nepotism, is that what determines jobs and further education and contracts and leases? Pork barreling? How are some of the leases and tenders rewarded and accepted? Is it pork barreling, favoritism? What's the level of distributive justice? These are the things that when we fail to agitate and when we accept this serenity to accept the things we cannot change, or when we come to the mindset that we cannot change, then we allow for the extended existence of distributive injustice. So unlike America and other places where there's a social clamoring and currently social activism to provoke change, there are pockets in our world where we have, it's not like we are in ideal situation and all of that. We have our own issues that we should be clamoring and calling for change, but you know what? We have the serenity to accept the things because we believe we cannot change them. Here's a close. The Bible is, I said this before, the Bible is concerned with retributive justice. The Bible is concerned highly with distributive justice and does not promote, although the Bible promotes contentment, the Bible does promote also an agitation in the face of distributive injustice. Classic passage Micah 6:8 says, God requires justice, and that includes distributive justice, that you love kindness and you walk uprightly. The great prophet Isaiah, what did he say? He says, God will shut his ears from you. He will not listen to you. He won't answer your prayer. He will turn your back on you until you learn to do good, until you learn to seek justice, until you learn to correct oppression. This is Isaiah 1:17. Until you learn to bring justice to the disempowered, until you plead the cause of the disenfranchised. That's what you have to be doing. And then the Bible talks about the best kind of justice is all. It would be remiss of me if I don't close with this. The best kind of justice of all is restorative justice. The justice by which we are all restored into a relationship with God. The justice that is, and that's as equal as it comes. Galatians 3:28 says, when it comes to this matter, everyone, we are all equal. Whether Jews or Scythian or Greek or whatever, we are all equal. We have the same kind of justice. What kind of justice is that? It's the justice that Galatians 5:1 talks about, where we have a liberty with the great judge who is God, that all of our debt and sins, everything that needs forgiveness, the great judge says forgiven because of the penalty that was paid by his son Jesus. So the Bible is really a champion of retributive justice, criminal justice, distributive justice, and restorative justice. And these are the things that we need to be advocating, clamoring, and agitating for. The next time you say this serenity prayer, think it through. Is it that you have too much serenity and too much acceptance and too much of a mindset that you cannot change? Shouldn't you ask a little bit more for the courage to change the things you can? Shouldn't you ask a little bit more for courage to change the things that need changing, and wisdom to know the difference? Have a blessed weekend.
All right, thanks, Pastor.
Take care.
Let's check in with the doc and look at things with a wider lens. Pastor Richards on OMG.
Solid as a rock, solid as a...
We lighten up the morning, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. OMG in the morning. Locking down the entire universe. It's District 106 on the Boom, Galaxy by far, and DJ Flex on the Evolution Station. Boom 1069.
The Love Zone.
The best R&B jams, period.
Hear it on Boom 1069.
Vibe Central plays in the most fire in the nighttime.
Hey, yo, play that shit again.
8 p.m. to midnight with Platinum Jugglers on the Evolution Station. Boom 1069. Boom Chat Friday.
Boom Chat Friday.
It's a different kind of juggle on Boom.
Everybody cups up. Everybody cups up. For the girl my God loves. If you know
You chat, we juggle.
Chat Fridays.
And you like chat.
Me no in a bankrupt. Me no day in jail dash for the handcuff. One in our pocket, you know me tank up. 6 out here, you know we run prof.
Big up your crew, street or block.
Sending them voice notes now.
Evolution of sound, evolution of music, evolution of radio.
Them no bad like me, them no bad like me, them no bad.
Boom Chat Friday.
Go, 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 go.
1069 Boom. We lighten up the morning, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. OMG in the morning. On point, dropping shade and setting the trends.
You drinking the hater.
Very powerful. Another very powerful message by Pastor. So we're going to leave it on that note. Thank you for locking on with us. For those of you who joined us on Facebook Live, thank you so much. I got to say a shout out to those who submitted their comments, who called, who sent us voice notes. Thanks. As always, we won't have Flex with us tomorrow. So Flex, I know you want to wish everybody a good weekend and so on. So go do your thing.
Enjoy your weekend. Thank you for locking in today. Yeah, see you next week, Monday.
All right, I'll be back with DJ Shady tomorrow. And hey, Shady's coming up next with our girl Jill. They've got you locked on in the Shade Room. So make sure that you keep it locked on. That's coming up next right here on Boom 1069.
Fruit juice from a mango tree.